LifeTalk Now. I'm Mark Crutcher.
And I'm Renee Hobbs. Thank you for joining us again for the third time.
Again for the third time.
That's right.
That's our third show.
That's our third show.
Well, yesterday was Valentine's Day. It was also the 6-year anniversary that you came to Life Dynamics.
That's right.
Right.
6 full years.
You came on Valentine's Day. Wasn't that sweet?
Because I'm a sweetheart.
Well, yeah, right. Anyway, your husband thinks so, but I think he's paid to do that.
And my kids do too.
Your kids think so. Mm-hmm. Do they really?
They do.
Anyway, obviously you've come a long way. You've learned a lot, and a lot different place in your life than where you were then.
Very.
And you know, but one of the things, we had a lot of things to overcome, just like anybody that's new to the pro-life movement, and you were totally new. It's not like you came from a long-time pro-life background anyway. You would hear me say things and take positions that you thought, you're nutty, that's not true, you know, and some of them even made you mad. We might talk about one of those one day.
Right.
Right. But anyway,
not right now.
But not right now.
Yeah.
But you found out I was right.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
as you say, you're always right.
I'm always right. No, not really. But anyway, the only guy that was ever always right, we nailed to a tree. So
that's right. Yeah.
We don't want to get in that argument. But anyway, one of the things that you often heard me say was how abortion permeates everything we do as a culture.
That's right. You can watch the news, you can watch Fox, anything that's going on, and it touches everything.
Even if you don't recognize it initially.
At the moment, yeah.
You can sit and think about it and say, well, I can see how abortion touches that. Mm-hmm. It touches our finances, it touches our how we view everything, how we view every aspect of life.
Yeah.
One of the ones that seems far afield for a lot of people is, and it's hot right now in the news.
Right. It's immigration.
Right. It's immigration issue.
And you wrote an article on that, and it really does seem far-fetched, but it's not at all.
It touches it perfectly.
Right.
And you know, we're having this big debate right now in the culture, in the country, because of Trump's views on immigration and the things he's doing, building a wall and kicking people out and whatever. And we can all debate about these issues, and there's legitimate arguments to be had on both sides. But one of the arguments has always been that, and this is how abortion affects the immigration debate. And the article that I wrote was way too long to go into the detail that I went into there, but we can kind of touch on some of it. Mm-hmm. One of the arguments about immigration has always been that immigration, especially illegal immigration, takes jobs away from Americans who would have those jobs if these primarily people from Mexico weren't coming in and taking those jobs. And we can debate about whether that's true or not. But let me tell you what is absolutely true, and is absolutely undeniably true.
Right.
Those immigrants from Mexico are taking jobs from Americans that were never allowed to draw first breath.
Right, that aren't here.
They're taking the jobs of the millions of babies that were aborted who would be now having those jobs. And, you know, there are a lot of financial reasons why this is going on. The government, and I laid this out in this article that I wrote, the government has a vested financial interest in these illegal aliens being here. The government actually has the federal government, not the states, but the federal government has a vested interest in that. They pay, for one thing, for example, they pay into the Social Security system when in fact they'll never be able to take any money out.
Right.
So that money is almost like a taxation on them that they don't get any benefit from.
Right.
But that helps support the Social Security Administration. And you know, the interesting thing is, if you look at our immigration figures, if you take immigration out of the American population, we've lost population over the last 50 years. The American population has gone down among people who were natively born here. The only reason our population's gone up is because of immigration from other countries, primarily Mexico. And they're again taking those jobs and paying into the system, and they're taking the jobs of the babies that have been butchered.
Right.
And if you go back and you look at the history of things like Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, particularly Social Security, it was based on the idea that there would always be an expanding pool of people to pay into the system for the new people that were coming along, because the population would continue to grow. Abortion ended that. And if you go back into the 20s and 30s when Social Security was being developed, at that time there were something like 28 or 32 people paying in for every person taking out. And so that's the way the system was designed to work, and it would continue to burgeon. And their thought was one day there'd be 50 people paying in for every person taken out. Today it's about 2 to 1. It's reduced down to the point there's about 2 people paying in for every 1 person taking out.
That's terrible.
And it is breaking our economy.
Yeah.
It is destroying our economy.
Right.
And I guarantee you these people that study this, that are looking at it in Congress and that testify in Congress about population and about immigration, they understand this. Because I'm going to tell you something, this immigration, if you see it as a problem, and I mean, you grew up in Texas, I've lived here ever since I was 8 years old. We grew up with this. This is not anything new. This immigration only started becoming an issue, if you think about it, Renee, when it started to expand, illegal immigration, when it started expanding into states that are heavily unionized and started taking those jobs. That's where it got to be an issue. But when it was just Texas, nobody cared. So we've been dealing with this issue since, I was in high school, and certainly when you were in high school many years later. But the fact is that these immigrants that are coming in, whatever you think about whether they should be or they should not be, they are replacing the 60 million babies that have been butchered.
Yes.
And the Social Security system, the Medicare system, is unsustainable if we continue to do this. And so, and like I said, I go into much greater detail. The IRS even has a code in the federal system. It's called the income suspense file, the earnings suspense file, for people that pay in that they know will never take out. And the Hispanic laborers are a big part of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can also post that the article online too, just so people can can read it if they want to.
I think we did one time before, but yeah, we could.
But now that we're talking about this here,
you could do that on your site and let people read that article.
Right.
But this is just an example. I'm not getting into the immigration issue, but this is just an example of how abortion touches every single aspect of American culture.
Well, I know, and if you don't have respect for human life, then you don't have respect for anything.
Right.
Because it does. It touches everything.
It starts with that.
Right.
If you don't have that as your basis,
yeah,
then you're lost.
Right.
And so when you start talking to people about, you'll hear these people say, well, abortion helps the economy because it keeps all these people that may not be able to get jobs and they'll end up in welfare. It's nonsense. Abortion harms the economy. And this is just one example of it. There's a lot of other examples of it.
Yeah.
But this idea that we're financially profiting from slaughtering these kids, even if that were true, it still wouldn't justify slaughtering these kids. But the fact is, it's not true.
Right.
It's not true.
And anybody can go to Demographic Winter to see all of that to see exactly how that falls into place.
Good point. That's a documentary you're talking about. It's called Demographic Winter, and there's another one called Demographic Bomb.
Yes.
And it's showing exactly how the issue of abortion and birth control has played into this too, but how they are destroying our economies. And you're seeing this all over the world. You're seeing large countries now paying women to have abortions. You can be 15 years old and unmarried.
You mean paying people to carry?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, paying people to have babies. I'm sorry, yeah. They're paying women to have babies because their population is falling.
Yeah.
And, when you look, let's just say, though, that you contain it within the United States. If you were looking at cities and you're saying, I wonder which one of these two cities has a better economy, one of the things you'd look at is the population. So if you go into an area where the population is declining, I just use two cities as an example, Dallas versus Detroit.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are two. Detroit used to be a vibrant, beautiful, exciting, very financially sound city. What's going on in Detroit, the last time I was there, I went into places in Detroit, it looked like Beirut. I mean, and it's sad to see this great city reduced down to this. If you compare it to Dallas, now Dallas is booming. North Texas area is adding 150,000 people a year to the population.
Yeah.
And our economy is booming.
Right.
So if you look at these two cities, you'd say, well, this city's obvious. If you didn't know anything else, you'd say, well, this city's obviously in decline because they're losing population. This city is obviously booming because they're gaining population. Then why don't we understand that there's a relationship between the economy and a growth in population?
Right.
Why can't we see that?
Because they're blind to that and they want to see what they want to see.
That's exactly right. They see what they want to see.
Yeah.
Because it supports their pro-abortion agenda.
Yeah, that sure does.
And you hear all these, we talked about it yesterday about these environmental groups that are saying, well, we got to have abortion because it reduces the carbon footprint. And it does. These people are, basically what this always comes down to is the same thing, Renee. It's man's desire to be God.
Don't love the creation, love the Creator.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
The creation, you have to love the Creator, not the creation. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And that's what we talked about yesterday. But
yes,
abortion does touch everything, and I would challenge anybody to look at any issue out there. And even if you don't see something right off the bat, think about it a while. Think about how could abortion...
It'll click.
It'll click eventually.
It will.
And I can remember when this first started clicking with you, I think it was this immigration article that I wrote, where you started seeing, well, maybe he's right. Maybe he's not nutty. Maybe, which you thought at that point.
I don't know about that. But
Right.
I'm just kidding.
But, you know, it does touch everything. You can't find anything it doesn't touch. But anyway, that's our show. Thank you for joining us. And remember, we need your help, financial help, to keep the fight up against these people. We're going to win this battle. Don't make any mistake about that. The pro-life movement is winning, and we're going to win. We've already been promised the victory. That's the nice thing about being a Christian, is you've read the book. You know how it comes out. We just got to do our duty. And but we need your help to do it.
Yeah, and go ahead and send in those questions, comments, or issues that you'd like to see addressed at Real Pro-Life Talk. We'd love to answer those. And also, we do a monthly taping called LifeTalk. It's at the end of the month, and you can subscribe to YouTube at LifeTalk TV, or you can go to our website, lifetalktv.com.
Yeah, you can also get a DVD subscription. Just write us and let us know. It's free. We'll send you a DVD every month. If you're not online or you don't want to watch it online, we'll send you one out. In the meantime, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next time.